And now we'll go on to our first speaker. Would the evaluator, would you like to talk about the objectives?
No, I
he is the speaker.
I'm the evaluator, so I
Oh, so you're
present the
okay, sorry.
objectives.
Okay.
Okay, I do that from my seat.
Okay.
This is project number 2 from the entertaining speech manual. The project is entitled Resources for Entertainment. The objectives are to draw entertaining material from sources other than your own personal experience and to adopt your material to suit your topic, your own personality, and the audience. Now, the time is listed here as 5 to 7 minutes, but it's my understanding that Bob requested and was granted an additional minute. So the time will be 6 to 8 minutes. Bob.
Thank you, Peter, and audience. But the topic that I've chosen today is the life of John Adams, one of our founding fathers. And I would have hopefully. I would like to start with the Boston Massacre. It's a little known fact about John Adams' life that he was the lawyer for the British troops in the Boston Massacre case where they fired on civilians. And he took the case because he was a young lawyer at the time. Nobody else wanted to take it, and he believed that everybody deserved a rigorous defense. So he took the case and was fairly successful. There was some punishment, but he got most of the charges reduced. And then I'll go on to the next topic I want to talk about, which is, let's see if this works. Okay. Radicalization of John Adams. He was originally in favor of reconciliation with the British. The main problem the colonials had with the British was taxation without representation. They were being taxed, paid for British expenses that they had incurred, but they didn't have representation in Parliament. So over time he came to believe that the solution would be a secession or becoming an independent country. And he was then elected to Congress, the Continental Congress, where he was really the leader of the group that was in favor of independence. There was a lot of resistance. Certain members wanted to reconcile. He was one of the leaders, along with Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin. And they finally formed a committee to write the Declaration of Independence. There were 5 members of the committee. That John Adams was in charge of this committee. Being too busy with other duties, he assigned most of the work to Thomas Jefferson. As you know, Thomas Jefferson wrote most of the words of the Declaration of Independence. John Adams and some of the others helped out. And once it was written, there was debate about it, and Thomas Jefferson being a quiet man, it turned out that Adams had to do most of the arguing for the case. One of the big issues was the slavery issue, and the Southerners wanted, even though Jefferson was a slave owner, he did write an anti-slavery clause in the Declaration, and it was demanded by the Southerners that this be stricken. And Adams he was anti-slavery. He never owned slaves. One of the few founding fathers that never owned slaves. But he was pragmatic about it, and they struck the clause in order to get the Union going. And John Adams always thought July 2nd would be the day we celebrate, because that was the day they actually voted for the resolution. But by the time it was all printed up, it turned out to be July 4th, which came to be the day we celebrate. He then left Congress and went back to Massachusetts, but almost was immediately called back to be an ambassador, diplomat in Europe, where he worked during the war to help us gain funding to help our cause, the French and Dutch in particular. When the war was settled, he was then made a, he was the British ambassador. He became the ambassador to Britain from the United States. He was the first one after helping to negotiate a settlement of the war. And after that, the next thing you probably know, he came back and was vice president, the first vice president of the United States. And he was not a close advisor to George Washington like the vice presidents are today. He spent most of his time doing the job that's in the Constitution, being president of the Senate, and where there were only 26 senators, there were a lot of tie-breaking votes they had to cast. When George Washington decided after 2 terms he would not run again, John Adams became the logical candidate. He ran against Thomas Jefferson and was successful and became our second president. At this point in time, the political parties started to become important in American life. John Adams was a Federalist, himself and Hamilton were the Federalists, and Thomas Jefferson was the main proponent of the Democratic-Republican Party. So there started to become bitter rivalry between the two parties. His presidency was marked, among other things, with a dispute with France over waterways. And he was able to negotiate a peace and avoid a war. But this came kind of at the last minute of his term. And the news of it didn't come soon enough. It's not like today where instantly you get news. It didn't come in time for his re-election, and he was defeated by Thomas Jefferson. So by this time, Jefferson and Adams were bitter rivals, and they had been close friends, as you know, during the Revolutionary War. And in fact, he left town early. He left Washington before the inauguration of Jefferson. Getting to the post-presidency period now, they managed to reconcile Jefferson and Adams. They became pen pals, and they restored their friendship. In fact, interesting enough, that he died on the very day. They both died on the same day, exactly 50 years from the date of July 4th, 1776. And reportedly, his last words were, "Jefferson survives," but he was wrong. Jefferson had died 6 hours earlier in Virginia. You know, news travels slowly in those days. So, when I say tribute, one of the reasons for giving this talk is I feel he didn't get his due in history. There's a Washington Monument and there's a Jefferson Memorial. And both Jefferson and Washington are on our money. And so's Hamilton and Benjamin Franklin. But Jefferson Adams was not. He's not really on it. So I want, as I finish up my last minute here, I want to tell you about how to find out more about. There's this book of John Adams by David McCallum, which is an excellent read, a Pulitzer Prize-winning book. And they made it into a mini-series as well, starring Paul Giamatti, that won some Emmys. And then there's the movie 1776 starring William Daniels, which is just about the Declaration of Independence that last month or so. And the last thing I will say, this is going to be revived on Broadway, by the way. I've never seen it live. Adams National Historical Park in Quincy, Massachusetts, which is, I'll finish up quickly, a national park that celebrates the life of John Adams and his son John Quincy Adams. A great take, and we're lucky to be close and able to see that. Madam Toastmaster, back to you.
Thank you so much. And Bob had told me about a trip that he went on to Italy